from the Anyamik Papa Street here in Asylum Down. You're welcome to the afternoon news bulletin with me, Pamela Boateng, live on Gntv. Now let's find out what is making headlines in this hour bulletin. According to Johnson and Gntv, they are fighting for all, including some NPP members. And as the perennial rains begin, aftermath of the rains, NADMO seeks legal backing to demolish structures on waterways. And on the Kelly GVG saga, 3 more citizens sue government over Kelly GVG deal. And on the international front, US quits Bayard's Human Rights Council. So many of these stories coming up shortly in this bulletin. For joining me here on the news in the afternoon news bulletin. I'm Pamela Boateng. Now let's settle for the details. The General Secretary for the National Democratic Congress, Johnson Gntv, has established that the NDC is not just against the use of passport and birth certificate to register for the National Identification Card. According to him, getting the NDC to fight for every Ghanaian, including members of the NPP, who will not be able to register because they will not be able to meet requirement for the registration. He made the statement in an exclusive interview with GNTV's Aniefa Ampofo on the first show.
The minority in Parliament announced the boycott of the registration exercise, citing legal, procurement and cost concerns. In a statement, a minority leader in Tamale South MP, Honorable Haruna Idrisu, said the National Identification Authority (NIA) has not been honest with the Ghanaian people over the cost of the project, with 2 figures of $1.4 billion and $293 million. The National Democratic Congress (NDC) has on several occasions made their intentions clear on what it makes of the requirements for the registration. In an exclusive interview with General Secretary of the party, Johnson Gntv, on Gntv Ghana's first show on Wednesday, he established that the NDC as a party is not just fighting for what it believes in, but rather for all Ghanaians, including members of the New Patriotic Party, who will be denied the right to be registered.
We are fighting for even the MPP guys who don't have birth certificates. And we believe that the MPP leadership, either in parliament or at national level, they are not doing the thing that will serve the interests of their own masses.
According to him, the NDC is standing by its decision to contest for those recommendations to be corrected in favor of every Ghanaian.
How to identify Ghanaian for registration. That was more important as far as we are concerned. That was even more important than the cost. The cost would have to do with somebody embezzling money and so on. That person can be prosecuted, whether it takes 10 years or whatever years later. But if you are talking about deciding who is a Ghanaian and who is not, that can bring civil war.
The registration exercise for the Ghana card is a key government initiative to collect data for economic planning purposes and also to formalize the economy. Since 1973, Ghana has tried to provide its citizens a functional national ID card, but logistical and financial support have hampered government's ability to provide the cards.
Alright, so that was Johnson Gntv, General Secretary of the NDC, on the first show. We'll bring you more fallout from that interview in our subsequent news bulletin. Now, moving away from that to the Parliament House, and the National Democratic Congress Member of Parliament for Ho West in the voter region, Emmanuel Kwesi Bejra, will no longer resign from Parliament, following the resolution of what has been described as an internal party conflict.
Sources indicated that the MP had written to the Speaker of Parliament, Prof. Mike Okoye, informing him of his decision to exit. The MP had also told some journalists in Parliament that he was going to step down. They suggested that Mr. Betra was unhappy about some internal party problems. However, both the NDC MP and the General Secretary of the party, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, have confirmed that these issues have been resolved. Mr. Asiedu Nketia explained that Mr. Betra's supposed resignation had to do with challenges with regards to the party's upcoming constituency election. Mr. Betra had been in Parliament on the ticket of the NDC since 2008, but there are suggestions he is likely to lose out on the seat to another NDC candidate at the next polls in 2020. The MP, a surveyor by profession, has been serving as a ranking member for the Government Assurance Committee and is also a chairman of the Parliamentary Christian Fellowship.
The National Disaster Management Organization NADMO is seeking legal backing to demolish structures on waterways to avert flooding in the country. It has therefore drafted a legislative instrument which will be sent to Parliament to receive the necessary endorsement to make the exercise acceptable by law.
With the onset of the rainy season, many homes and offices have lost properties as a result of flooding waters rushing into their buildings. So far, 7 people are known to have died as a result of a downpour on Monday, with scores displaced especially in flood-prone areas. Many have partly blamed the situation on the sitting of structures on waterways and blocking of drainages that force rushing floodwaters onto streets and homes. The commitment of NADMO to prevent such development has been questioned by Ghanaians who believe the organization is mainly preoccupied with giving relief items after disasters when its main mandate is to prevent disasters. But according to the Greater Accra Regional Coordinator for the organization, Archibald Kobina, it does not have the mandate to demolish structures on waterways to prevent floods in some areas. According to him, although the law permits organization to carry out demolition in emergency situations, usually after a disaster, it cannot carry out such an exercise on a regular day to prevent the flood.
And so we are hoping this move from NADMO will definitely bring some sanity when it comes to the flooding condition in the country. Now, moving away from that to Niboy Town, the Assistant Treasurer of Niboy Man Landlords and Landladies Association in the Greater Accra region, Al Hassan Ibrahim, has said the association has taken steps to ensure the demolition of buildings in waterways, which is a major cause of flooding in the area. According to him, owners of these houses with no permits will be dealt with as the laws require.
Land is the primary medium for human settlement development and is needed for the many functions that towns and cities of various forms, shapes and sizes perform. The larger the urban center, the greater the demand for land and the more pronounced and complex the impact of the various demands placed on land have on the environment. In recent times, most urban residential centers in the capital, Accra, have seen population increase as a result of the rural-urban drift. This has caused the upsurge of slums and unauthorized structures. Gntv put a spotlight on Niboy Town, a suburb of La Paz in the Greater Accra region. The somewhat residential area is a shanty town with no planning of their overcrowded homes. The fate of land originally acquired by the government for the abortive sports complex project in Niboy Town and other environs has languished on as illegal settlement and procurement of land registered have one way or the other not been regularized. As such, the traditional council of the area has taken steps to demolish structures at unauthorized places. The news team took a stroll to part of the community to assess the level of damage these structures have caused the community, especially with regards to drainage and road network.
This building, when we talked, she said she has nowhere to throw the dirty water away. So please, I want us to record this thing and then show it to the public to see if it is good.
It is very bad. It is nothing good to talk about, with the fact that we have residents living here with their families, they have children, and you look at the sanitation or the sanitary issues here, and you look at the health implications it is really nothing good to talk about. Niboyman, Chantan, Alhaji, Sotum, Mile 7, Akweteman, Santa Maria, New Achimota, and Racecourse are all areas acquired by government to be used for a sports complex. That notwithstanding, he said, the chiefs had sold the lands to them and provided them with indentures of some sort. For over 20 years, Niboyman Landlords and Landladies Association has tried to get the government to relinquish its rights to the lands and pave the way for them to have their properties regularized. Therefore, their quest to move those buildings that do not have any permit to stop building or demolish all buildings in waterways.
The government is going to see to it that those people who has blocked the road, they should remove whatever that they have blocked the road. And then if they don't do it, if government come in to demolish it, they will end up by paying the government.
Some residents who spoke to Gntv expressed the level of struggle they go through each time there is a downpour. What do you have to say about this?
Well, I think as you are covering it and you take it to the necessary authorities, they have to come and then take in the action. We all know how they have been demolishing places where they don't supposed to put up buildings like what we are saying, and which caused the flood and then end up destroying their own properties. So I think you are doing the right thing. And you know, you did mention that people were like trying to be against you. It's just because they don't understand what you guys are doing.
Some observations made by the news team is the fact that the neglect of duties and failure by institutions which are supported by public funds to account for their stakeholders are perpetuating a culture of impunity. Residents are crucial stakeholders in all these issues and should therefore be treated as such in the same scheme of things by these authorities to forestall looming disasters.
So we take a quick breather. We are back with more local stories on the afternoon news bulletin. Stay on.
Nobody should think that he has monopoly of power. Are you with me? Nobody has monopoly of power or monopoly of authority. So for us in the APC, we are focused. And in the MPP who thinks that they cannot criticize them, even dogs believe that people can criticize. Only dogs who think they cannot criticize them. Anybody who cannot take criticism is a dog. And I say today that anybody who cannot my criticism, that person is a dog.
Hello and welcome to Pay Global app. Pay Global allows you to send and receive money into your mobile wallet instantly from around the world. It makes money transfer easy, affordable, smooth, and convenient for agents and users. Roaming services are also available globally. So, how to get started? First, you have to download the Pay Global app. Step 1. Open Google Play or Play Store using your Android device. Step 2. Search by typing Pay Global in the Google Play search engine. Step 3. Locate and click on Pay Global and install. Step 4. After installing, tap Open and allow access to complete the process. Now, let's see how to create a new Pay Global account. After opening the Pay Global app, click on New User Account. Complete the registration form with the following information to register your account: phone number, full name, email, date of birth, enter preferred password, and confirm your password. Click on Register Now to register your account. A confirmation code will be sent to you and displayed in the text box. Click Next to complete registration. Visit the nearest GN Momo agent to load your wallet. Contact us for support on email support@payappglobal.com. Pay Global. Total convenience.
Well, Welcome back, and now to more stories. The Minister of Gender, Children and Social Protection, Honorable Tiko Afisa-Jaba, has assured Parliament of the commitment of her ministry to implement laws and policies that would help improve the welfare and general well-being of children in the country. She made the pledge in presenting a statement on the floor of the House to commemorate the celebration of the 2018 Day of the African Child, which falls on the 16th of June every year.
The Day of the Africa Child is commemorated on the 16th of June every year in memory of the hundreds of gallant children killed on the streets of Soweto while protesting against inferior education and apartheid in 1976. The African Union therefore set the day aside to remember the children for what they stood. The theme for this year's celebration is under the theme, Leave No Child Behind for Africa's Development. To the Minister of Gender, Children and Social Protection, this underscores the need for efforts to be intensified towards the reduction of inequality, creation of opportunities, and to liberate the innovative energies of young people in Africa.
Celebrated across the continent of Africa in commemoration of the brave and courageous and bold children of Soweto, who in 1976 took to the streets to demonstrate for their right to education, to have good structures, to have teachers, to have a language that they can be communicated to. Unfortunately, under the apartheid regime, they were brutalized and killed and maimed. And so the African Union decided to commemorate that day, 16th June, since 1991. Every 16th June across the continent, we all celebrate the Day of the African Child. So here in Ghana, we have signed the international protocols, the Convention on the Rights of Children. We have signed the Domestic Violence Act. We have signed the Human Trafficking Act. We have signed laws to ensure that we protect children.
He further reaffirmed the government's commitment in ensuring the protection of the rights of children and ensuring all children of school-going age have access to education.
And so we are asking and challenging all of us of our collective responsibility, of parental responsibility, to ensure that every child of school-going age is in school. And we would like to again thank the President for the free SHS initiative and the implementation by the Ministry of Education, which guarantees that today in Ghana, from day nursery to SHS, every child has the opportunity to go to school. So it is important that parents do not allow their children to go onto the streets to sell ice water or go and be cleaning windscreen or begging or working on the farms or in the market. Once it is school time and the child is of school-going age, we are organizing task forces, and you will see them because already we've started removing the children on the streets.
She solicited the support of Parliament to review existing laws that would facilitate the growth of the Ghanaian child.
Well, let's do some health stories now, and the government has been challenged to consider mental health care as part of the national development agenda. This is crucial considering the poor state of mental health care in the country. The MP for Oforikrum, Honorable Dr. Emmanuel Mafo, made the call in a statement presented on the floor of the House.
Nationwide awareness creation, particularly in schools, marketplaces, churches and mosques, about the causes, dangers, and treatment of mental illness. In conclusion, mental health and well-being are fundamental to our collective and individual ability as humans to think, emote, interact with each other, each a living and enjoy life, and we cannot afford to leave it behind as we move forward in our national development efforts. Mr. Speaker, once again, I should thank you very much for the opportunity.
Lack of resources or lack of money. Maybe we should begin getting corporate entities in their corporate social responsibility to show some interest in supporting some of those institutions. I am encouraging you and encouraging members that many of these issues of public interest, members should feel free under your guidance to bring statements. This is how we can improve the development of the country. And this is how we can be seen serving the sovereign, the people of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, We have been told about what happens to clear cases of mental illness. Sometimes it is dementia that people are suffering from, and the families are carting them to prayer camps for them, some of them, to be chained to trees and so on. They are carting them to wish camps, and you wonder what we are doing to ourselves as a nation, as citizens of this country.
Authorities of Mount Mary College of Education, also known as Momako Clinic at Somenya in the Eastern region, have decided to use funds it will obtain from its 70th anniversary ceremony to construct a clinic for the school. This was announced by the principal of the school, Dr. Mrs. Cecilia Esinam Egbe, at the launch of the school's 70th anniversary in Accra.
Mount Mary College of Education has over the years trained teachers to contribute to the educational sector of the country and beyond it as it extends its scope to other francophone countries. Despite the success story of the school, accessing healthcare has been identified as the major challenge confronting both students and teaching staffs, especially during the night, as taxi drivers in the area take advantage of the deplorable nature of the road leading to the school to charge exorbitant fares. Constructing the clinic in the school will enhance quality health service for both students and staff of the college. The principal of the college, Dr. Mrs. Cecilia Esinam Egbe, announced at the launch of the 70th anniversary in Accra that the planning committee of the anniversary, in consultation with the school authorities, have planned to use the proceeds of the anniversary to construct clinic in the school as a necessity.
70 years! Hooray! Well, let me say that we are actually a little over 70, a year above 70. And we are here to launch the celebration of this all-important milestone. Apart from the pomp and pageantry that is supposed to be associated with this kind of celebration, this is also a very good time to do a lot of introspection. And of course, a good opportunity for reflection, as I alluded to earlier. That explains the question about the Alumni Association.
The guest speaker, also the head of the French unit at the University of Cape Coast, Dr. Emmanuel Kofi Boateng Nkonu, stressed the need of all stakeholders in the education sector to contribute to the welfare of the school.
Stakeholders are required to address. The strategic ones are the government, tutors, and students. Of course, there are others like religious bodies who founded some of these colleges, parents, local communities, and alumni. Of the three stakeholders relevant to the theme, I will zero in on the government. After all, the students and tutors are more recipients than beneficiaries of this conducive environment waiting for it just to grow.
He urged the government to make the necessary stakeholder consultations before rolling out its policy to turn the colleges of education to degree awarding institutions. There are a series of activities to mark the anniversary before its climax on the 10th of November 2018. Honorable Samuel Balado Menu chaired the occasion.
You're still watching the afternoon news bulletin with me, Pamela Boateng. We take a breather now. We are back with some business stories with Adam. Stay on.
Nobody and beyond the touch of relief.
If you always keep your money in your wallet.
Hey, I fought the bear. For no mercy. Apume. Yamina dem was say. Afume baby. Share. About money, man. My boy mu. Hey. Papa nen kobo. You see yellow card. You see that card. I referee. I'm when you cry. Oh, maybe I'm when you cry. I GM mobile money. Ariaba. Kita afun baku ana baby so aya aduma ma GM mobile money a percentage na abanya no aye baby maybe hende aba register no *712# I register here na no mama boy oh dear afato gbe obodo mercy wa fom papa ya me sure fon so bebe dey no so no
GN Mobile Money, total convenience.
Welcome back from that break and welcome to the business segment with me, Edem Kungbe. Coming up in the news, just a few weeks after some 2 citizens sued the government over the implementation of the traffic monitoring, revenue assurance and mobile money monitoring common platform, some 3 other citizens have followed suit at the High Court seeking, amongst other things, a cancellation of the contract.
The defendants in this suit are the Ministry of Communications, the Attorney General, and Kelny GVG Limited. The plaintiffs, Selon Brantier, Nanaama Adumbuachi Yadom, and John Atubonfo, argue in their writ that the contract, among other things, is illegal because the first defendant, that is the Ministry of Communications, failed to secure the requisite statutory and constitutional approvals before executing the said contract, and the plaintiffs shall consequently contend strongly that the contract is illegal. They noted that given that the contract is illegal, the government of Ghana cannot be made to continue to commit huge sums of taxpayers' money to meet the financial obligations under the contract. They added that with the contract procured hastily under circumstances which exposed the state to serious financial jeopardy, the continuous payment of huge sums of taxpayers' money under the contract is akin to pouring good wine into a poisoned chalice. They are therefore seeking, among others, an interlocutory injunction restraining the Communications Ministry from performing the obligations in the said contract until the final determination of the suit.
Now, despite the existence of a Model Petroleum Agreement and Petroleum Exploration and Production Act, Act 919, which provides guidelines as well as directives in fiscal terms underpinning every petroleum agreement, the sector minister is permitted to choose between 5 to 12.5% for royalties in petroleum contracts at his own discretion. The Public Interest and Accountability Committee, PIAC, has proposed a fixed royalty rate to prevent discretional abuse by the sector minister.
Petroleum revenues to the state come from royalties at between 5 to 12.5%, surface rentals, corporate tax of 35%, carried and participating interest of 15% per annum or 15% minimum, as well as other revenues such as bonuses, licensing fees, additional entitlements and the like. According to PIAC, the difference between 2 oil contracts in the country comes largely as a result of discretion that has been assigned to the sector minister in terms of negotiations for oil deals. For instance, the minister has the discretion to choose between 5 to 12.5% for royalties in petroleum contracts. The Public Interest and Accountability Committee has proposed a fixed royalty rate for petroleum revenue to avert the obvious risk of exercising discretional abuse by the sector minister, even though there is a Model Petroleum Agreement and Petroleum Exploration and Production Act 919 which provide guidelines as well as directives in fiscal terms underpinning every petroleum agreement. No 2 oil contracts are the same. Speaking on the sidelines of the public forum held at Odumase in the Sunyani West of Brongahafo region, Dr. Steve Mantiao, chairman of PIAC, argued the discretional power exposes the minister to corruption. The public engagement was one leg of a joint inspection and monitoring of oil money funded projects in the region by PIAC and Institute of Financial and Economic Journalists, supported by JIS. Between 2017 and 2010, when the country started commercial oil production, total petroleum receipts were $4.009 billion, which was realized from the sale of 253,085,873 barrels of crude oil. Ghana recorded the biggest oil revenue of $978.01 billion in 2014 and the lowest of $247.18 million in 2016. The 2014 petroleum revenue constituted 10% of total government revenue, while the 2016 oil money represented 3% of government total revenue. Meanwhile, PIAC has raised concerns about some disbursements of oil revenue in the past, particularly to the Ghana Education Trust Fund. In 2016, a total of 83,037,284 was allocated to the GET Fund scholarships. The committee is of the view that it was a duplication of funding once there is a statutory source into the fund.
Mobile money transactions have seen tremendous growth, rising to 981.6 million transactions in 2017. With the introduction of mobile interoperability, it's expected to witness even more growth. Since its introduction on May 10 this year, mobile money interoperability recorded a total of 136,469 transactions, valued at about 12.458 million Ghana cedis. Let's see more in this report.
Mobile money transactions have been on a steady rise owing to its convenience and accessibility to the teeming unbanked. The central bank's payment system oversight showed mobile money overtook checks as the main non-cash retail payment instrument, with 981.6 million of transactions in 2017, followed by debit card at 60.4 million, e-switch at 8.4 million, checks at 7.3 million, and direct credit transfer at 6.1 million. Fund transfers from one mobile network to another have witnessed consistent growth in the value and volume of transactions since mobile money interoperability was launched on May 10 this year. In the first month of its operation, mobile money interoperability recorded a total of 136,469 transfers valued at 12.453 million Ghana cedis, according to data from Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement Systems (GIPS). This was achieved on the back of wallet-to-wallet and wallet-to-bank transfers. Total wallet-to-wallet transfers reached 96,904 with a value of 8.310 million Ghana cedis, while that of wallet to bank was 39,665, amounting to 4.148 million Ghana cedis. With the launch of the mobile money interoperability, customers are now able to transfer funds from one mobile money wallet to another across networks. This eliminates the hitherto complexities and inconveniences associated with transfers across various networks in the country. The mobile money interoperability has also been seen as an important vehicle to deepen financial inclusion because it enables people who do not have bank accounts to be roped into the banking system, as any money kept in a mobile money wallet is actually held at the bank.
And that's it for business with me, Edem Kungbe. Up next is weather, followed by sports.
Hello, good afternoon. This is the sports segment of the news, and my name is Matilda Jimedo. And in sports this afternoon, Ghana international forward Abdul Majid Juarez is set to return back to Lorient after the expiration of his 6-month contract with FC Porto. Juarez joined the Portuguese giant from Lorient in January on a 6-month loan, where he played a crucial part of the club's final lap of the season. He played 15 times for Porto, scoring a goal and helping the club win the Portuguese league. FC Porto are expected to begin negotiation with the French club for the signature of the Ghanaian, who will cost them around €6 million. Juarez had a difficult start to the 2017-2018 season following injuries and poor form, but was impressive for FC Porto in the second half of the campaign, playing a part in the UEFA Champions League run of 16 games against Liverpool. Meanwhile, his parent club Lorient fared well in League 2, finishing 7th but were unable to make a return to the French Ligue 1. Move away from that to the world of World Cup, where Africa recorded its first win yesterday as Senegal came up against Poland with that sweet 2-1 victory. Let's take a highlight of that game.
Final two go head-to-head at the Spartak Stadium in Moscow. Lost just one of their 10 qualifying matches, Poland. It's a very, very good campaign for them. Piszczek, who's onside, needs a bit of quality on the cross. It's in towards that. Yeah, plus it was away from Lewandowski, and the shot back in again and headed over by Grzycki. Senegal only the third African team to ever reach the quarter-finals of a World Cup. Cameroon in 1990, Ghana in 2010 were the others. Here's Guy, takes a deflection, and Senegal take the lead. As an own goal for Chonek. 6 green shirts in the penalty area. It's a free header for Sane, but heads the ball down and over. 4 goals already from free kicks at this World Cup. Can Lewandowski make it 5? Here he comes, up and over! Punched away by Ndiaye. On the hang back on the field, and he's round the goalkeeper, and he'll get there first! Chesney furious with Krychowiak, and Niang, who'd just been called back on by the referee, gets a second goal of the game for Senegal, and they have a little bit of daylight now between themselves and Poland. This Piszczek, stabbed goalwards by Milik, and just wide. Grzycki, good ball, great header! And Krychowiak gets a goal back for Poland. And there could still be time for them to get something from this match yet. Krychowiak pulled away at the back post, found the space. 4 minutes added time has been played, and the referee signals the end of the match, and it's delight once again for Senegal in their opening World Cup match.
That was how it went for Africa. We recorded our very first victory in the World Cup Russia 2018. So after that victory, the Senegalese fans thronged the street of Moscow with some kind of celebrations. Let's take a look at how they celebrated the victory against Poland.
We are very happy to win our first match, because we are the first team African to win the match in the World Cup.
Senegal 2, Poland 1. If we continue in this, we can go until the final. Polska! 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 Polska!
Fury played today? I didn't see him really.
Oh my God, I don't know what's happened. It's still going on. Oh my God, there is nothing playing like normal. Lewandowski, Milik, nothing playing, nothing.
We're gonna take the cup. Yeah. Our ambition is to take the cup. Yeah.
Now let's wrap up on the sports segment this afternoon with some news coming from the tennis fraternity, where a 3.5-month break has worked wonders for Roger Federer, who returned to the court in Stuttgart Open, and he has regained the #1 spot after his semi-final victory over Nick Kyrgios.
Federer is back at #1 in the ATP rankings, once again swapping spots with Rafael Nadal. Federer's title at the grass court tournament in Stuttgart, Germany, last week pushed him up from No. 2 on Monday. Nadal dropped down from #1 after sitting out last week following his 11th French Open championship earlier in the month. This is the 5th time the top ranking has changed hands between Federer and Nadal. That's the most switches at #1 in a single season, since there were also 5 in 2003. The record for most changes at #1 is 10, set in 1983, when John McEnroe, Jimmy Connors and Ivan Lendl all spent time there.
So from the world of sports this afternoon, we still have some more updates for you in our subsequent bulletins. My name is Matilda Jimedo. Up next is the entertainment segment. Please do stay.
There's more to life than where one begins, and which is George Weah.
Not setting up
his presidency would mark the first time.
Be a good boy, be a good girl. How did you muster the courage to call Mrs. Indu to tell her we lost or have lost £2 billion?
And still attracts me to Pastor Toby.
You know, all the stories about me and being in business, this was the worst.
Fighting climate change in particular, both in Africa and in Europe, we are interdependent.
Our intake of refugees has been going up in recent years.
Today's markets and today's life is no more a question of common sense. It's a question of knowledge, understanding.
We have task forces that patrol the markets, the communities, and to ensure that certain fires do not occur.
Nobody should think that he has monopoly of power. Are you with me? Nobody has monopoly of power or monopoly of authority. So for us in the APC, we are focused. And in the MPP who thinks that they cannot criticize them, even dogs believe that people can criticize. Only dogs who think they cannot criticize them. Anybody who cannot take criticism is a dog. And I say today that anybody who cannot my criticism, that person is a dog.
Right, so welcome back. You're still watching the afternoon news bulletin with me, Pamela Boateng. Just gone by with some sport update, but Morocco is struggling really hard to equalize against Portugal as the match is currently inching towards its close. Now let's do some entertainment stories now. And he is known as General Mosquito, and that should definitely tell you that he's got a lighter side to his political persona. General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, Johnson Asiedu-Nketia, was the guest on the first show Wednesday morning, and he has revealed that his favorite genre of music is reggae. According to him, his favorite musician is the late Bob Marley.
What kind of song do you listen to?
Songs?
Yes. Do you listen to songs?
I don't get time to listen to songs in the morning, but in my spare time, my favorite music has always been reggae and then traditional high life music.
Reggae. What's a favorite? Most favorite?
Well, you know who is the king in reggae. That one, there's no dispute about it.
You tell me.
The same old Bob.
Bob Marley.
Yeah, it's still reigning even in death.
So you are just a Bob Marley fan?
I'm a Bob Marley. I'm a reggae fan, but my Bob choice Marley within the reggae fan.
How about the local music?
I like local music, high life. You know, the ones they are singing now, Mamishe and all those things. We are older than those, music.
Those kind of genres.
Some other people's generation, but our generation was high life. So because I have had some little stint with the music industry, many of the artists, the very old artists, are all my friends, and that's why you see me at their various functions, funerals, and all that.
I suppose you do the little music
Nana
with them.
Pabobo, the late Pabobo, Super Odi, and all of them. They are all my very good friends.
I see.
Yes. And
is that to say you sang before?
And Oboba, and all that.
I see.
They are all my very.
Right, so moving away from that, the 2018 edition of the Black Star International Film Festival is scheduled for August 11 to August 18 in Accra. The festival, which is a non-profit organization, focuses on the business of film by connecting people globally through film through African cinema. The goal of the festival is to help position Ghana both as a festival and holiday destination for both the local and international community. This year, the festival will offer an opportunity for networking, finding out more about the film industry, watching a variety of international and award-winning films at Silverbird, a music concert at Sandbox with major artists performing, workshop to improve upon film directing and skills, and many more. And finally, in the entertainment segment, a Michael Jackson musical is coming soon to the Broadway. The Michael Jackson Estate and Columbia Live Stage are developing a stage production based on the late artist's life. The organizations announced the news on Tuesday. While the name of the musical has yet to be confirmed, other details are squared away. Pulitzer Prize-winning playwright Lynn Notage will write the musical, and Tony-winning choreographer Christopher Wheeldon will direct and choreograph the show. The musical is expected to debut in 2020, 11 years after the pop star's tragic death. This isn't the first time the Michael Jackson Estate has collaborated on a production inspired by the Jackson's life. In 2013, it worked with Cirque du Soleil to launch Michael Jackson 1, which takes place at the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. It also isn't the first time Jackson has inspired Broadway. In Motown the Musical, actors portray a young Jackson from his early days in the Jackson 5. The musical features a number of the band's hits, including ABC and I Want You Back. And so on this note, we wrap up with the entertainment segment on our afternoon news bulletin. Up next is international news right now. And in Nigeria, authorities are to shut down the land border between Nigeria and an unnamed neighboring country in a few days' time to avoid smuggling of foreign rice into the country.
Many Nigerians prefer Thai rice for the belief that it's sophisticated. In Southeast Asia, where they grow the rice, if rice is planted in the same place for 4 to 6 years continuously, the quantum of arsenic begins to increase, and arsenic is said to cause cancer. The Agricultural Minister, Audu Ogbe, further endorsed this move in order to encourage local production and sustain the economy of the country. Though Nigerian authorities have not yet disclosed which neighboring country the smuggled rice is coming from, Nigeria shares borders with Niger, Chad, Benin and Cameroon. The Agricultural Minister claimed in 2017 that Nigeria would become self-sufficient in rice production by the end of the year. As many as 21 of the 39 rice-producing countries in Africa import between 50% and 99% of their rice requirements, according to the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization.
And in Ethiopia, a rebel spokesman and an Ethiopian official say South Sudan's rebel leader Riek Machar arrived in Ethiopia on Wednesday for a meeting with South Sudan's President Salva Kiir as part of talks to try to negotiate an end to a 5-year-old civil war.
The Ethiopian government official also confirmed Machar's arrival and said he would meet Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed before his talks with Kiir. Kiir and Machar are due to meet later on Wednesday. It will be the first between the two since a peace deal between the government and Machar's rebel group fell apart in August 2016. Tens of thousands of people have been killed in the civil war that broke out in the late 2013 when troops loyal to Machar, the former vice president of South Sudan, launched a rebellion against the government. All sides in the now complex and multifaceted war stand accused by the United Nations and other bodies of committing atrocities against civilians.
Eritrean President Isaias Afwerki is dispatching a delegation to Addis Ababa for constructive engagement with Ethiopia after peace overtures from its new Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed.
According to a senior Eritrean diplomat, the peace overtures he was referring to include a decision by Ethiopia's ruling coalition to accept and implement the December 2000 Algiers agreement that awarded the disputed town of Badme to Eritrea. Eritrean ambassador to Japan, Estefanos Afewerki, said that ISIS had made the announcement of the potentially significant breakthrough in one of Africa's most protracted conflicts on Wednesday, June 20, 2018. He gave no further details. While Ethiopia's decision to accept the Algiers agreement was lauded by the international community, there was resistance from the residents of Badme town and even sections of the ruling coalition who questioned the process through which the decision was reached.
Moving away from that, the U.S. has pulled out of the United Nations Human Rights Council, calling it a cesspool of political bias. According to the U.S. envoy to the UN, Nikki Haley, the hypocritical and self-serving body makes a mockery of human rights.
Formed in 2006, the Geneva-based council has been criticized for allowing countries with questionable human rights records to be members. But activists said the US's move could hurt efforts to monitor and address human rights abuses around the world. Ms. Hawley announced her country's intention to quit the council at a joint news conference with Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who called the council a poor defender of human rights. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, in a statement released through his spokesman, responded by saying he would have much preferred the US to remain in the council. The UN Human Rights Commissioner Zeid Ra'ad Al Hussein called the US withdrawal disappointing, if not surprising news. Israel, meanwhile, has praised the decision. The move comes amid intense criticism over the Trump administration's policy of separating child migrants from their parents at the US-Mexico border.
Alright, but before we move on to our next story on the foreign front, news just reaching us is that the match between Portugal and Morocco has just ended 1-0 in favor of Portugal. Now on to other stories on the foreign front. Israeli jets have attacked 25 25 Hamas targets in the Gaza Strip after the group launched rocket and mortar shells at Israeli territory. Residents said 3 Palestinians were slightly injured during the attacks in the early hours of Wednesday, June 20th, 2018.
The exchange was one of the most intense recent barrages of rocket fire and airstrikes. No casualties were reported in Israel. Air raid sirens and Israeli phone warning applications sounded throughout the pre-dawn hours. The Israeli military said 45 rockets and mortar shells were fired at Israeli territory and said its Iron Dome anti-missile shield intercepted 7 rockets. Israel has carried out air raids in the Gaza Strip over the past few weeks, saying it was retaliating for Palestinians setting fire to Israeli land. In recent weeks, Palestinian protesters have used flaming objects attached to kites to set fire to agricultural land just over the border fence with Israel. At least 127 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli troops during mass demonstrations and 3,000 have been injured along the Gaza border since March 30.
And so that's all we have for you in this bulletin. Before we take leave of you, let's take a look at the headlines. We are fighting for all, including some NPP members coming in from Gntv, who was a guest on the first show this morning. And the aftermath of the rains, NADMO seeks legal backing to demolish structures on waterways. And in business, Kelnick GVG saga, 3 more citizens sue government over the deal. And also on the foreign front, US quits Bayat Human Rights Council. Alright, so from the production team and myself, Pamela Boateng, many thanks for joining us on the Afternoon News Bulletin live on Gntv. We came to you from our studios here in Asylum. Now, until then, make sure you keep watching Gntv. Have a wonderful Wednesday afternoon.
There's more to life than where one begins, and which is George Weah.
I'm not setting up.
His presidency would mark the first time.
Be a good boy, be a good girl. How did you muster the courage to call Mrs. Indu to tell her we lost or have lost £2 billion?
And still attracts me to Pastor Toby.
You know, all the stories about me and being in business, this was the worst.
They have the natural curiosity to investigate and bring to bear stories that are closer to their roots or distant from their mood. Their fans are glued to sets to watch, hear or read, but never know who they really are when they are off the set. Enduring questions that further solidifies the bond that exists between you and your favorite media personality. Get to know them better than ever. The Other Side with Pamela Boateng.
I am right now.
Fighting climate change in particular, both in Africa and in Europe, we are interdependent.
Our intake of refugees has been going up in recent years.
Today's markets and today's life is no more a question of common sense. It's a question of knowledge, understanding.
We have task forces that patrol the markets, the communities, and to ensure that certain fires do not occur.
Nobody should think that he has monopoly of power. Are you with me? Nobody has monopoly of power or monopoly of authority. So for us in the APC, we are focused. And in the MPP who thinks that they cannot criticize them, even dogs believe that people can criticize. Only dogs who think they cannot criticize them. Anybody who cannot take criticism is a dog. And I say today that anybody who cannot my criticism, that person is a dog.
Are there prophets in the 21st century?
If my prophet is in the midst of my people, I speak to him mouth to mouth.
So because prophets speak God's word, they speak a creative force.
Because we were ignorant, we didn't really understood what grace was.
Depends on the individual, the way you look at it, the way you handle yourself, the way you carry yourself.
They want to know what is this in the family, what does the family do. They want to know all these things about the background of the family. So